Alright, hello, and welcome to another Warframe Builds video. So, last time, for Nekros, we went over what he could do with no forma, and non-primed, and all that stuff, before all his changes and all that. And it was eh. But now, we live in the Nekros Prime world, and we have a very important new mod that changes a few things for Nekros. So, let's take a look at his new build, because I actually quite like this new build. This build utilizes the new mod, Growing Power, which comes from the new quests, new enemies that you can farm post-quest. This is a new aura mod that gives you 25% power strength anytime you proc a status, for 6 seconds. It does not stack, so don't worry, it's not fucking crazy. It does work for your whole party, though, which is usually pretty good. I would recommend, if you do get this mod, though, make sure you swap it out for something else if you're going to be going to a party with a Speed Nova, because it will totally fuck her world up and enemies won't be as fast and it will slow down your farm. So yeah, and even then you're probably going to want to use my Configuration B, which we'll talk about in a second, if you're going to be going to a place with a Speed Nova. But anyway, this build, basically what this does is this uses Despoil with good range, 160%. Not tiny by any means, so you're desecrating a pretty good area, but then also can utilize like the full power of Shield of Shadows with Blind Rage and Growing Power, putting me at the cap, giving me the 90% damage reduction, and it having really good duration on my shadows. I think I have just over 60 seconds of them decaying before they'll die. So having 90% damage reduction at pretty much all times, and then with Despoil plus Equilibrium, and of course, Carrier, vacuuming up all these health orbs for me, I will have generally unlimited energy, provided I have enough enemies to fight, which, in the Simulacrum, is kind of a problem, but not. I really wish I had like an infinite spawning thing I could do in the Simulacrum somehow, where I could spawn like a bunch of trash enemies, and then kind of pick the tough enemies to come in, which would be better for this. Yeah. This build is fun. I don't think it's like the best build ever, but it's really fun and you get extra loot while you're using it. I play this in mostly melee because it's just a good time to use. And then of course, we have our like full-on Desecrate build that is just maxing out the range and is despoiling everything with max efficiency, you know, all that stuff. However, on this build, I have added health conversion for a good amount of survivability, because you're going to be picking up so many health orbs. You're actually relatively tough. A little over 1400 armor is nothing to laugh at, so yeah. And Nekros is pretty much the only Warframe that can take advantage of that outside of Warframes that are just in a party with a Nekros, so it's generally pretty good. Growing Power is the thing that really holds like this build together and gives it a lot of like extra bonuses, because if we go to the abilities screen, Desecrate is 40 meters, and you actually lose what I consider to be a significant distance when you don't have Cunning Drift on, because you lose that 15%, which bumps you down to 36. And while that might not seem like much, almost 4 meters. 4 meters is a lot whenever it's in a huge circle around you. So it helps out his desecrating by a good margin whenever you're using Cunning Drift. Not to mention having the ability to slide around be a little bit better, especially whenever you're in melee range a lot, which is what I'm doing, is pretty fun and useful. But yeah, let's get to it. And I guess this is also going to be a little bit of a preview on the Tigris Prime, but we'll be showing that off a little bit later this week. So, first let's grab some enemies. 80. And we'll grab... What do we want to get? What is, like, relatively fair? Like, 1 Corrupted Ancient. Like, 3 of these guys, and, like, 3 of these guys. Sure. Let's see here. Is that all of them? I believe so. Okay. Alright. Now we can actually do the proper test. And I'll turn on Desecrate before this. This test is... Okay, so... What's the way I want to describe this? So the reason I grabbed enemies prior is because... So here's the thing. In any normal mission, and Nekros is like a bit of an exception to a lot of things. In any normal mission, you're going to run into some trash mobs initially at first, and like maybe one strong guy, which is why I grabbed the group that I did. So Nekros is never really going to be out of dudes to summon, unless you kind of force yourself into that situation, which is the reason that I just like filled my cache of dudes to summon. Just to be clear. Yeah, this should be relatively easy. The other bonus to having such large range is that whenever I Shield of Shadows, I can just kind of go wherever I want. Because I've got that 84% damage resistance right now. And the reason I have 84%, which is worth noting, is simply because... 1 second. I raise my guys back up. It's simply because I didn't cast my 4 while under the effects of growing power. If you do, you'll be at 90%. Yeah. You can see my guys slowly dying off real quick. And then since I have, obviously, another cache of dudes, I will let these guys all die. And do the growing power one. Oh, you know what? So growing power actually has a bug. You have to die before it activates in the simulacrum. So 1 second. It has a weird thing with it where you have to die before it activates. You'll see it in the top right corner. Yep, see, there it is. Oh, and I haven't gotten any guys. Bombard now. That's highly unnecessary. Alright, growing power. 81%. I didn't get all my shadows. We are. Now we're at 90%, and I healed all my shadows. And you can see how my growing power gets refreshed whenever I proc status. Oh wait, that's my shadow. He's just on fire. There we are. Alright, yeah. Let's heal these guys up. Yeah, these guys stick around a good long time. You really don't have to manage them a whole lot with this build. You just recast basically whenever you're on full energy. And this build generally doesn't need to use it too. I mean, you can use it when you revive dudes, but generally you're going to be fine without it. Although it does affect a large amount of guys whenever you're under the effects of growing power, and is in a very large range. Well, not very large. Pretty big, though. But yeah. I guess we just double tested it. Decided to just kind of go for it whenever I was picking dudes up. Also, you can desecrate your own shadows, of course. Oh yeah, having the meta ray on carrier, especially for just the general desecrate build, if it's just like constantly healing you, it allows you to pretty much indefinitely not go pick up health orbs, even if like enemies aren't getting close to you, for a carrier to pick them up. But yeah, this Nekros build is really nice. I really like it a lot. And then obviously with this build, there's not really much to be said, I guess. You kind of just get 3, and then that's what that does. And then you can use your 4 with this, like you can press it. Not really much of a reason to though, because your guys will be very weak and not last very long. So if you just have the energy kicking around, you can just have some guys around, be like, hey, there's 7 bombards here, cool. But other than that, not really much reason to. But yeah, with the application of a good amount of Forma and a very nice new mod, which really brings this whole thing together, this is a really solid build. I like it a lot. Obviously, I think a lot of people might be put off by the efficiency taking a huge fucking nosedive. So if you want to get rid of Blind Rage for say maybe Transient Fortitude, this will put you at a pretty good percentage of defense if the efficiency is really important to you and your duration is not so much. But I think this is generally better, at least for my purposes. But yeah, that's my Nekros Prime build, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.